Well. I'm starting today, and no one is even in this go live because I'm really going to be using this more as a video. So I'm not even concerned. If no one shows up, that's perfectly fine. Furthermore, I'm not expecting anyone to show up. Why would you say that, Scott? Because I've not done anything on this channel in in I couldn't tell you how long it's been, but it's probably been more than a year. But I have an announcement, and I want to tell you before I make the announcement, I want to tell you kind of where it came from. Where it came from. So maybe I'll make the announcement first. I don't know. Here, yeah, let's do it. Here is the announcement. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Today, random. What's going on? Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm still alive. I'm still here. And I'm thrilled that you guys would pop in here. So I was just about to go ahead and make the announcement and then kind of provide some insight into what's behind it. So here is the announcement. Literally today, after this go live, I'm going to start working on a new 7-part series. It'll be this series will be a recorded series. And if I had to title the series, which I think I'm going to go with, it's going to be entitled this. You ready? 3 reasons why I believe the Sabbath is ceremonial, or 3 reasons why I believe the Sabbath was a ceremonial law. So if you're wondering, okay, well, Scott, why are you doing this? Now I need to explain to you why I'm going to do it. Okay. So here's the why behind it. So I have a friend I've known since I was 17. This is a guy I met when I attended Mount Vernon Academy in Mount Vernon, Ohio, a Seventh-day Adventist boarding academy that is no longer open now. But this would have been 1987 when I met him, and we've remained friends ever since then. And every now and then, our paths will cross, and whenever it can, we will generally kind of sit down and have a meal and catch up and see how things are going. And so, literally, this past Friday morning, we had just such an opportunity. And so we sat and had breakfast. And my friend is like 3rd generation Seventh-day Adventist, though he is not a practicing Seventh-day Adventist. Be that as it may, as we were talking, he made this statement that I am very familiar with Adventists making. And if you've had any experience, you've heard it, or maybe you've made it yourself in your life. And the statement goes something like this: while describing how you're not living a very Adventist life, or while you are, here you go, or while you are describing how you disagree with some of the Adventist teachings, like Mrs. White, let's say, when you're making that statement, in comes this one other statement, and that is they'll say something like this: but I'm confident on the Sabbath. Like I'm clear on the Sabbath, that the Sabbath is Saturday. And I'm telling you right now, in my life, I've made that statement. I have heard that statement in those very scenarios where a person is like not living a Christian life, but they'll still go, be that as it may, I'm 100% on the Sabbath. Like they're rock solid on that. And they really want to stress how much they believe that one, even though they're not living, even though they're not keeping, they really want to stress how important that was. And so my friend did that very thing at this meal. And so I said to him, I'd like to give you 3 reasons why, because let me say one more thing. The reason I feel that he, others, and myself, why I felt like we've always stressed that that we still believe in the Sabbath was because we were always raised with this idea that it is absolutely moral, that there's something far more significant about it, above all the other laws, you know. And so when he said that, I said, would if you would allow me, I'm gonna I would like to make three arguments about why I believe that the Sabbath is actually a ceremonial law and not moral. And to a person who's raised in Adventism, when you hear that statement, that's a difficult one, because for an Adventist, there is a great deal of effort and argument put to defending the Sabbath as moral. Why? Because that then means it is eternal. It is not temporary, it is eternal. Therefore, we are still required to keep it today. If it's ceremonial, then the Adventist realizes they have a big problem, because there's lots of moral laws that they're not keeping and feel no obligation to keep. And so if it's proven that the Sabbath was ceremonial too, how are we going to deal with that? So that's where I feel like he was coming from. And that's why I felt the need to lay out for him. And as I described it, I said, I'm going to give you these three arguments that I believe are proof that the Sabbath was ceremonial and not moral. And I said, I'm going to give them to you how I perceive them, as far as like the power of the argument. I'm going to put them from least convincing to most convincing. I think they're all three convincing, but I feel like the final argument is really the most powerful one. And if you've been on the channel, I've made this argument before. What's different about how I'm planning to do it this time is there's a great deal of work that has to be done even before I can make those three arguments. Like, what do you mean by that? Well, the first thing I would say, and which I will cover in the series, is we'll talk about, for instance, why. Let me think about what I want to say. I sometimes get distracted by the chat. So let me think about what I want to say. I have to, before I can get into these three things, I have to, one, make a person understand and agree that there are some real distinctive differences between a moral law and a ceremonial law. Example, moral laws aren't restricted by time, meaning it's wrong to commit adultery on a Tuesday, it's wrong to commit adultery on a Thursday. A moral law is universal in that respect. A ceremonial law, for instance, though, points to something. There's a purpose behind it. And namely, when we see in the Bible, is that ceremonial laws are pointing to Christ, or they're pointing to some other spiritual application like purity, holiness, Christ as the high priest, these things like that. So before I can get into my three reasons, I feel like for a person who's watching this along with me, they have to agree to A, B, C, and D. We have to be on the same page in agreement on A, B, C, and D. And it's then and only then that I can make these three arguments that will, like, okay, I really have a hard time getting around that. And so that's what I plan to do, because I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to be a 7-part series, and I'm not going to give what the three arguments are until I believe episode 6, because I think that I need to lay the groundwork through the first 5 episodes. Then I can address 6. And then number 7 is actually going to be, so what now? Now that I have, what I feel I'm going to do is to prove that the Sabbath was actually ceremonial and not moral. Now what? What do I do with that? What does that look like? That's what I think the whole series is kind of going to look like and feel like, and that is the plan. And another part of the plan is that as literally as soon as I finish this episode right here, I'm not gonna go live, but I'm gonna start recording locally these other episodes. I haven't even thought about if I'm going to release them all at one time, or if I'll release them, spaced out. I'm not sure about that, but yet. But just want to let you know that's the plan. And I have a week off for vacation for Thanksgiving and everything. So I definitely have some time to do it. And I feel some real passion for it. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that probably here this afternoon. So keep your eyes open for that. Those are going to show up very shortly. Um, yeah, I'm glad that you guys have popped in here. It's good to see. It's good to see all of you. Haven't seen you in a while, and that's on me. Um, but I've been doing well. I have no real great news to pass on to anyone. Um, as always, my thoughts go to Test the Prophet. Just always going to ask you guys to keep him in your prayers. I think about Miles and answering Adventism. I haven't seen him much. I think he's doing a lot more with his website now than he is with his channel on here. Perfectly fine. Love both those guys, but yeah, I'm torn sometimes on, do I need to apologize to you? Um, And I'm not sure, like, if have I sinned against you because I haven't been on here enough? In some ways, I don't think so, because I think about, like, when I think about the content that I have on this channel, I'm still hopeful that it is still to this day planting seeds and helping some people out. And I think that's my hope for this series, that it would help an Adventist or a Sabbatarian that is feeling something. I mean, this whole idea of the idea that the Sabbath is a moral law because it's in the Ten Commandments. That's something I also hope to address in this series, because I don't think that's a solid biblical way to look at it. Well, it's in there so that it's moral. Like, and I don't agree with that. And I think I'll prove that through this series. So my hope, and let me say one more thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not believe that it's only Seventh-day Adventists who misunderstand the Sabbath. I think they're the largest. They're the largest. Clearly, they're one of the biggest denominations to misunder and misuse the Sabbath. But there are other denominations. There are other Christians who I have encountered that have a wrong view of that. And so I guess I'm hopeful that this series might be able to help people in all those areas. So with all that being said, I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that I'll have this video out there to kind of introduce the series, and hope you guys watch it. Hope you enjoy it. Please give me feedback, and God bless you guys. And I will see you very, very soon. Have a good one.